condition, feeling so alive. Summer rhythms flame, we're gonna thrive. Go, 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 oh, shout it out loud. Hear the summer sun, we're a summer-loving crowd. Talking Brazil ball, we're breaking it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of Talking Brazil Ball, the podcast all about Brazilian football. We're here to dissect another action-packed weekend of football in the Brasileirão. 10 big games to get into, plenty of action at the top and the bottom of the table. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And it was kind of carrying on that music.
Yeah, it was all right.
Anyway, George is here, as always, to look at the weekend's results, last weekend's results. How are we doing today, George?
Yeah, I'll get rid of that, James. Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, not so bad, thanks. How are you doing? Como vai to everybody watching and listening? I hope everybody's, had a good week. It is actually Saturday, isn't it, that we're recording this, James? So there is another round of fixtures in a matter of hours, really. 10:30 is the first game of the weekend, round 19 of the Brasileirão this season. So, yeah, we'll get to see. But we're looking at, action-packed game week. We've got an action-packed show today as well with the monthly awards. So let's crack on. How are you, though, first of all?
Yeah, I'm all right. Not so bad. Like you said, game week 19 is kicking off this evening, and that's exactly halfway through for plenty of teams, some of them not. But yeah, we're cracking on already. The season is not young anymore, really, George. It's kind of halfway there. So, but yeah, I'm doing okay. Looking forward to getting stuck in. So why don't we start with the quiz of the week, I think, George?
Yeah, well, I mean, the quiz of the week, I'll have to think of one right on the spot here, James, for you.
We haven't got one. Well, forget it then. Like you say, we've got enough to get through without.
Yeah, I've actually got. I was just thinking there. I've forgotten to give you one this week, so we'll have to wait till next week, won't we, for another one? But yeah, that one slipped my mind today. But
we can have a roll over next week.
Yeah, you can have a double quiz if you like.
Yeah, make mine a double. Anyway, that's disappointing for all the folks at home, but we're gonna have to get straight into the roundup then of the match day 19. So why don't you give us a rundown of those fixtures?
Absolutely, James. It would be a pleasure of mine. So it started on Saturday the 2nd of August with Sport Recife 0, Bahia 0, and Mirassol, James. We'll talk about them a lot today. Another win for them, a 3-2 win over Vasco. Into Sunday the 3rd of August then, Fluminense 1, Grêmio 0, Fogo 0, Cruzeiro 2, Corinthians 1, Fortaleza 1, Galo, a big win for them against RB Bragantino 2-1, Ceará 1, Flamengo 1, Vitória 2, Palmeiras 2. Inter Monday then, Inter 1, Sao Paulo 2. And the game week finished off, James, with a big win for Santos and a big day for Neymar, a big evening for Neymar, as we'll speak about. A 3-1 win over Juventude on Tuesday the 5th of August.
Yeah, Juventude, we spoke last week, just can't seem to buy any kind of results at the minute, and like you said, we will touch on that a little bit more later on in the show. But first of all, let's start with the games of the week, George. So, I mean, when we looked last week, it looked like there weren't too many really exciting fixtures, nothing that was really jumping out at you. And you ended up going with the flu against Grêmio, didn't you?
No, I went with Santos, James.
Oh, did you? Oh, I thought you went with flu and Grêmio.
No, I was looking at that one month, but in the end, I went for Santos Juve, yeah.
All right, okay. Well, I'd forgotten that. Well, we are going to touch on Santos, so maybe let's start with my game of the week then. So I was covering Fogo and Cruzeiro, and if you remember, the listeners who listened last week, this was set to be a big test for kind of both teams, really. Fogo on a kind of a decent way, just outside the top kind of 5 or 6, looking to push on towards the top of the table under Davide Ancelotti. Cruzeiro, as we know, got a surprise loss last time out against Ceará, and they were looking to bounce back. And not an easy game, obviously, away at Fogo, away at the champions. It's never going to be easy, despite the fact Fogo aren't anything like as strong as they were last year. But so I thought I'd pick this one just because it seemed like a test for both teams and a good kind of marker of where both of the teams are at. And in the end, George, Cruzeiro, as they have done all season, came out on top. They proved that was just a blip last week against Ceará. And ultimately, they made pretty light work of Fogo, to be honest. It wasn't as kind of, there wasn't as much between the teams, I think, as the 2-0 kind of scoreline suggests. But Cruzeiro had this one wrapped up by half time, really. They hit the front kind of 20 odd minutes in, Christian Cardoso. And Mateus Pereira, George, who we haven't really spoken about at all this season, which is quite odd, really, given how much we have touched on Cruzeiro, how good they have been. I mean, he was really the main man last year, and he's kind of faded into the background a little bit this season. Although, having said that, his stats are not so bad. 5 assists. This was his 3rd goal of the Serie A season. So, he's still been kind of performing quietly, but he's just been outshone by the likes of Caio Jorge. But yeah, he turned up in this one. He stuck the second one in the net, and they were 2-0 up before half time. And to be honest, Fogo just, they had to come out and they had to try and do something, and they just weren't able to do it. So I think the second goal was getting quite a lot of heat on social media. I think it was the second one. It might have been the first one, actually. Either way, West Ham have been very heavily linked with the Botafogo goalie, John Victor.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw this goal, George. I mean, it was a really awful piece of goalkeeping. He basically just throws the ball out, gives it straight to Cruzeiro. And then, I mean, there's a bit of play that kind of goes on before. He can't obviously do anything about that, but the ball gets put across the 6-yard box, and it looks very much like he could have got it. He just kind of leaves it. He doesn't really do enough, and it's kind of just slotted in behind him. So I saw a lot of West Ham fans really, really furious, basically, that they were being linked with John Victor. It was a strange link. If he's going in there as a number 1 goalkeeper, I don't know what the situation is there. Areola, I think, tends to be the number 1, doesn't he? Fabianski has left. So it might be that he would be the number 2. But they have signed the Leicester goalkeeper instead, Mads Hermansen, and he's a good goalkeeper. So you'd imagine he's probably going to be the number 1. And it mysteriously collapsed, this transfer, after that. I mean, I don't think West Ham would have been listening to the fans on social media, but if they were, they would have pulled the plug on this, and it did eventually. It didn't go through. So John Victor is still at Fogo, and I'm sure they won't be too pleased with that based on his performance here. But anyway, they couldn't mount any kind of response, and Cruzeiro ended up winning 2-0. So that put them Flamengo with that draw against Ceará. So Ceará took points on both of the top 2 in the last 2 weeks, which is really impressive from their point of view. Flamengo drew, again, a bit of a surprise, which leaves Cruzeiro level on points with Flamengo, having played a game more. So it's really hotting up at the top of the table. A really big win, this, for Cruzeiro. I don't know if you've got any takeaways from it, George, but I think basically it reaffirms that Cruzeiro are the real deal. And I think it probably just... It's probably where Fogo are at the minute. There's no real shame in losing to this Cruzeiro team as things are at the moment, but they would have sniffed that opportunity just to move into those kind of top 4, top 5 places, and they missed it. But I think this is probably about where they are. They're sitting in 7th, and as you look at it, they probably are about the 7th best team in Brazil this year.
Yeah, we didn't expect too much off Fogo, did we, James, to be honest with you, this year? Lots of upheaval, changing the manager, and all sorts in the winter time. So, I don't think it was a surprise, really, to see them where they are. Like you said, 7th is probably about right. They're 11 points off Flamengo now, having played a game less. So, it's neither here nor there this season. I think that was the first game they have lost under David Ancelotti, actually. Definitely in the league. So, he's not had a bad start, but that shows you just how bad Paiva had it, really. Although in a way, it doesn't feel like he was doing so bad, really, did it? But obviously wasn't getting the points on the board so much. As far as Cruzeiro are concerned, we know they're in for a title challenge. I think, like you said at the top there, the season's not young anymore. It's halfway through, basically, and they're still up and amongst it, level on points. obviously played a game more, a couple of games less than Palmeiras, who have a bit of a dodgy result in them, don't they? And they're what 4 points off, aren't they, with 2 games played less than Cruzeiro, but can't say anything more than Hardim. He's done great, and they will be up there consistently. Good to see Pereira on the score sheet again over the last weekend. So yeah, onwards and upwards for them. They did win in the cup as well against Serie B side CRB. It was a 2-0 aggregate win, 2-0 away from home last week. So they're through in the cup there as well. Cassio as well saved a pen in that one, so it's all good from their point of view at the moment. Having lost obviously to Ceará last time out, back to it at the first time of asking in the league, and it's Santos for them tomorrow evening, James. So let's see how they get on there.
Yep, Fogo made it through in the cup as well. They beat RBB 3-0 on aggregate, so a good result for Ancelotti there to bounce back with. And they do face Fortaleza next, actually, so Paiva's going to maybe get a chance for a bit of revenge in that one. Pereira, obviously he had that move denied to Russia, I think, in the winter, didn't he? So good to see him putting that behind him and coming back to the fore for Cruzeiro. Right, George, let's move along to that Santos game that you were covering there. So before we've got to wrap Neymar in along with it, but first of all, what did you take away from this? Santos just seem to be a bit up and down, don't they, really? But this was a big result for them to just pull away from that relegation spot a little bit.
Yeah, it was huge, James. Massive result for them in the end. And it's about time Neymar came to the fore and did something for them. He got that massive goal for them to beat Flamengo last month. And now he's added to his tally to 3 with a couple of goals here. And they're pulling a little bit away from the relegation zone. They're in 15th at the moment, 3 points ahead of Vasco, who currently occupy the last the last relegation position. Unbeaten in 2 now, so can they build up a little bit of momentum? I think Kleber Xavier is sort of steadied the ship a little bit, and he's not done too bad. It must be quite hard to manage a sort of ego like Neymar, really, and I don't think he's probably done too bad with that so far. And it looks like Neymar is. I think we've described it, James, before. We're not really sure of his motives for coming back to Santos. I know he was linked with Marseille, I think, a couple of weeks ago. But he's come back and he's mucked in. He's got a few goals and starting to get back from injury now. And it's looking like maybe that was not a bad signing overall. But Santos looking a little bit better, definitely, than they were. The game in itself a little bit scrappy. Santos. Definitely had the best of it, ultimately, but lots of shots on goal, but not much in terms of action, in terms of a lot of trouble in the goalkeeper. Lots went off target. The XG from Santos was considerably higher, of 2.63 to Juve's 1.72. So Santos did a lot better. The goals itself, Neymar tap in to open the scoring, and then Burrell, who we've spoken about, I think, before, James, on the pod, he nicked in with a nice little finish, close range finish to put them 2-0 up. Juve got one back from a corner kick headed in by Angel, and then Neymar wrapped the points up with a penalty kick straight down the middle, and then he's doing the celebration that he's I think known for. Really, now they're playing in a lovely sort of turquoise blue kit, James, which I quite like. I'm not sure the relevance, why they were wearing it, because they were at home. But I'm not sure if it was a special edition shirt or for whatever reason, but looked quite a nice one. Neymar color coded it with the tassels on his hair with the turquoise as well. So I think Neymar's a good player to have around when things are going well. I think when things are going badly, he tends to throw his toys out the pram and act a little bit of a baby, doesn't he, really? So it's quite, like I said, it's quite a difficult ego for Kleber Xavier to deal with. But if you can get him going, then no doubt Santos will rise up the table. But it's a little bit of a run, like I said. Cruzeiro on the tomorrow, I think it is, and if they can go unbeaten in that, then they start to believe maybe they can go a bit higher. But as for Juventude, James, like we said, they're sinking without a trace. Really, they've not won for a long period of time now. I think actually that's four defeats in a row since a win over Sport Recife in middle of July. So yeah, it's not looking good. I believe that the manager is still there, Claudio Tencati, but the way he's going, I don't think he'll last too much longer. And I think they'll be on the way down, James. 11 points from 16 games. It's a little bit, 5 points adrift of safety. Starting to look a little bit perilous for them, to be fair.
Yeah, it is. They're not. I mean, 4 in a row they've lost. Like you said, they're really just sinking without trace, really. And I think we can probably already pretty much wrap up 2 relegation spots, which is a bit of a shame. But it does help teams like Santos who are just above there. I mean, you're right to focus on Neymar, George. Obviously, we haven't spoken about him loads this season just because he has been injured a lot. Really, that's just a fact of it. But we're going to do him. We're going to do him a little bit more this one because we're going to give him the player of the round. George, I don't know if you got your jingle there.
Yeah, I think I have, James. Just if I can find it.
Who else indeed on this one? There really wasn't a lot of choice on this one, was there, George? And like you've said, Neymar came up for his club. He hasn't done it enough since he's been back, but he started 7 games, so he's been around a little bit. That was his 2nd and 3rd goals of the season. 6 in all competitions in 17 games. So he has been on the pitch a little. As we said, he was reportedly wanting to move back to Europe this summer. That isn't going to happen. I mean, unless something happens in the next couple of weeks. Somebody might have been impressed by this performance, or somebody listening here, talking Brazil ball, might think, "Oh wow, he was incredible." But I think he's benefited a bit from a bit of a lean week in terms of no competitors. But yeah, I mean, what more can we say about Neymar? Really, it's his first play of the round. It's probably going to be his only one, I think. But you never know.
Yeah, literally, there was no other contenders, James. I think we were praying really and it was the last game, wasn't it? Santos and Juve on the, midnight on the Tuesday. So I think we're praying for for somebody to come up trumps, and it was him. But like you said, he hasn't done it enough. There's a lot of fanfare is obviously going to be around Neymar signing, coming back to his hometown, but he hasn't been good enough really. I know he started 7, he's been injured. But 3 goals, I think a lot of people would have, 9 games. I think a lot of people might have expected 1 or 2 more goals at least. And it's been a bit quiet. But these 2 goals, no doubt it gave Santos a big win. Like I said, first was a tap in, second was a penalty, but they all count. And I do agree with you though. It probably is the last one, first and last one we're going to give him, because there are plenty more players that are riding higher than him this season. That is for sure.
Yep, there are, but I'm sure Brazil was celebrating. Big name finally getting his big moment, and Santos hopefully starting to pull a little bit further up the table now. But we'll have to see where they go from here. Right, George, let's move along swiftly to the young player of the round, because there were a couple of more contenders on this one, and 2 in particular who came close were in the same game, and that was your boys Gallo, who we don't seem to have touched on that much of late, and a Red Bull Bragantino who we have lost again, George. I mean, they just can't stop losing at the minute, but they're still only 6th. Anyway, there were 2 young players in this game who both got a goal contribution. And that was João Marcelo for Gallo, who actually, I think, assisted the winning goal. He did late goal, 81 minutes for Nathaniel. And he's a younger player himself as well, 23-year-old right back. And Cal Santos, who's even younger, 18-year-old. I think he's a fullback playing for RBB. And that was only, I think, his 3rd game, maybe even his 1st game in Serie A, it looks like. So these 2 were contenders, weren't they?
They were, James. Yeah, like again, for the player of the round, it's a bit of a lean week for the young player of the round as well. And in the end, I think we've gone for a lad who simply because it's his it's his first kind of foray into it, and he's younger than both of these two lads he mentioned here. So there was one or two, and well done to those boys. But I think, ultimately we've had weeks before where we've been struggling to pick, and this week was struggling to pick because of a real lack of anything going on with the young players. Other times, like I said, it's been right. It's definitely going to be him. This time it was a little bit lean, and yeah, we've gone for DG no G
Who?
Dino.
I think it's Diguinho. Diguinho.
Oh, well, is it?
Diguinho.
Future ahead for this guy, a young talent of Brazil. How far can he go? It's the young player of the world.
So, Diginio, did you say?
Yeah, I think it's Diguinho. Could be Diguinho. I think it's Diguinho. Diguinho. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I mean, the one thing going for him is that he's at least got a very distinctive name. He's,
Yes.
We see. I just mentioned a couple of lads there: Cal Santos, Jean Marcelo. I mean, that's the names, isn't it? Nothing you can do about that. But you think when there's a young player who's got a special name like Diguinho, you think maybe there is something about him. And yeah, like you said, George, he didn't get a goal, he didn't get an assist, but he did start for Corinthians, and that's impressive in itself.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's his first start. It's his third game of the Brazilian season, James. And obviously, Dorival Jr. might rate him, but Chiquinho is a forward player, played on the left wing, didn't he, in this game? He played played on the right wing, 64 minutes before being replaced. So that'll mean a lot to him, and he'll put himself in the shop window, potentially for another move. We know how much, a lot of the European clubs throw weight on the young players of Brazil. So maybe people have been notified that he's made his debut, his full debut, his starting debut. They'll be definitely watching out for how he does in the future. Turns 18 in mid-September, so he's not far off 18. His 18th birthday either. So people will start talking and looking at how he's doing. Very impressive to start in this Corinthians side, because they have got a lot of forward players that it's a good line of forward players. So fair play to him starting in that front three. He did make way for the goal scorer who equalised the game, Andre Carrillo, in the 94th minute of this game. So maybe he won't start the next one if Carrillo has come on and equalised the game and got them a point, but it'll mean a lot to him, that.
Yeah, he did. It looks like really that Dorival Jr. put a lot of focus on the cup game, which was against Palmeiras. So obviously, as we know, big derby game that, and Corinthians won the first leg 1-0. They ended up winning 2-0 actually. So they got through. They really kind of comfortably beat Palmeiras, to be fair. Bidu and Henrique scored 2-0 win for them, 3-0 on aggregate. Diguinho was left on the bench. He was an unused substitute. So I think it was a case of, you look at Depay was rested, Alberto was rested, Garro was rested. So Diguinho maybe getting his chance while the others are kind of not in there. And like I said, he didn't get on the score sheet. He was taken off for the man who did score, and it was a late goal that as well. But it's good to see somebody young getting a start, and we'll have to keep an eye on him going forward. Corinthians generally, that's a great result for them against Palmeiras. They haven't really been going amazingly well. It's been a bit of a kind of stop-start season for them, hasn't it?
It has really. I think this is it, James. They just seem to languish in kind of mid-table, don't they, a lot of the time? They're 12th at the moment. They have put together with that Palmeiras, those two games against Palmeiras, who was the 3-0 winner on aggregate. They have actually gone 5 games unbeaten now in cup and in league games. So, but they have drawn 3 of them. That was only the only 2 wins were in the cup against Palmeiras. So that shows you just how much that game means to them as well. So three draws in a row. If you put the league form in there, it is no wins in the last 4. So they're in a little bit of. It depends how you look at it. Is your glass half full or half empty? You know what I mean in that situation. So it's not the best of starts of seasons. They're not really pulling up any trees. Donovan Jr. will have probably hoped for better. But it is what it is here for them. The way off, I would say, Libertadores qualification at the moment, and mid-table is probably where they deserve to be. I mean, probably not going to go down, are they? Really, the 7 points above 17th position. It's not disastrous. The season is, even though halfway, is come to a little bit of a standstill for them.
Well, we said similar. I mean, they were even worse off last year, and they ended up going on that massive run at the end of the season. So obviously, Ramon Diaz isn't there anymore, but Dorival Jr. is probably more than capable of doing a similar kind of thing. And obviously, it must be said he won the cup as well. The last time he had a full season in Brazil with Sao Paulo, so he might be kind of just looking at that and thinking Palmeiras out of the way, maybe there's a chance for him to get some silverware there, and they might focus on that instead. But it's been a bit of a mixed season. Fortaleza, really gutting for them not to get over the line in that one, George. It would have been a really big 3 points for them. We know they've been struggling much more than they probably should have been. Paiva's come in and kind of had a bit of a mixed start, really. 1 loss drawn. But yeah, they could have done with winning that one, couldn't they?
Oh, 100%, James. And it was a killer. It's always a killer when you concede an injury time, equaliser role, or one that puts you into a loss. So they'll be disappointed. Paiva would have been disappointed, would have been, healthy, sort of two wins from 3 games if they would have won that. So, but a point's a point, isn't it? They've got Fogo next at home, so early doors of tomorrow morning. So, hopefully from their point of view, and Paiva, like you said, it's a bit of a needle for him going up against Fogo. I'm sure he'll feel hard done by Textor and Fogo. So there'll be a lot riding on it for him personally, and maybe that'll rub off onto his players. And because they really are in amongst a relegation fight now, halfway through the season. You've got to say they are amongst the sort of 7 teams towards the bottom end that are in trouble really here.
Yeah, definitely. They need to start winning, and this would have been a really big one away from home, but a point isn't the worst result for them as well. Right, George, let's keep on moving then. Let's move along to the goal of the round.
Go, go, go.
Yeah, so football at its best, as you said there.
Brazilian football at its best.
Is that what it says there?
Yeah.
Good. Right, so what have we gone for? I think you've picked it again, haven't you? I've been a bit lazy with the kind of the...
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen any of them, James, but to be fair, I must admit I did look at them earlier on in the week, so I have kind of forgotten any sort of other ones, but none of them really stood out. This was a real... well in front winner, and it's Eric who playing for Vitória, who drew 2 apiece with Palmeiras in isolation. That's a good result, but they were 2-0 up, James, until 20 minutes to go, and they conceded twice to surrender a 2-goal lead and end up drawing the game 2 apiece. Eric's goal was the second of Vitória's 2. In the second half. It was a lovely finish, this. And I don't know if you remember Eric, James. He is on loan at Vitória this season from Sao Paulo. He did play quite a number. Well, he played half the games actually for Sao Paulo last season. He came from Ceará before that in Serie B. You might not remember him. He's a good player on the right wing. So he cut in from the right, bent the ball with his left foot into the top corner, licked the bar, and I think licked the post as well on its way in. It was a real postage stamp sort of goal again, but very much different from Torres's winner of the goal of the round award last week. But it was a lovely finish, to be fair. And he's doing well really in terms of that. He's got a good technique. Only his second goal of the season, though. He's got 2 assists as well. As we know, Vittoria are struggling in the season, really, just hovering above the relegation zone, 3 points above Vasco. But if they can continue to score goals like this, then they'll do all right, but they will be disappointed. They did surrender the 2-goal lead, like I said. That goal only came 5 minutes before Piqueras got Palmeiras back into it with a penalty, and then Lopez got a late goal to equalise it. So disappointment, I would have said, overall for Vittoria, but Eric gets the Goal of the Round award for us this week.
Very disappointing for them, really. I mean, but they are on a good little run. They're unbeaten in 5. They've only won 1 of those, which is a bit of a worry. But Kirill has come in and done a good job, to be fair to him. And we did speak about them a little bit last week. And they've bounced. They've followed up those 2 results against Recife and Mirassol with a big one here, and they really should have seen that over the line. But Palmeiras, you just have to question really what's going on a little bit there. Again, the cup loss in midweek. They haven't. I mean, they lost the Corinthians. They drew this one, then they lost the Corinthians again. So, things aren't quite going quite to plan for them there. So, but like I said, they're still amazingly in a decent position. They're only 4 points behind Flamengo with a game in hand. They're 4 behind Cruzeiro with 2 in hand. So they're going to be there or thereabouts again. They always are. But they do have this kind of strange result in them. And they'll be disappointed with that for sure. But for Vittoria, they'll equally be disappointed as well, having thrown it away. But yeah, Eric, a great goal and well worthy of the win there. And Vittoria, we know that they needed to replace the goals of Alejandro. They haven't really done that just yet. But Kaiser, who got the first one, I think has done a decent kind of job. He's got 5 goals. So they're getting kind of a few here and there. But yeah, they'll certainly be disappointed to have thrown that one away. But Eric can console himself with the Goal of the Round award at the very least. So well done to him. And like you said there, George, there's more to talk about because the reason we've kind of rushed through it a little bit is because we do have the awards of the month, the monthly awards coming, which is only the second time we've done it, really, just because of a few reasons, mainly the Club World Cup just kind of put in a big dent in the season. So I think let's move on to those. And I guess you don't have any jingles for these ones.
No, we don't have any jingles just yet, James. But I think June, I will do some, but I'll talk to the Talking Brazil Ball Band. But I think we did one in June, didn't we? But July was a bit of a write-off, like you said, because of the Club World Cup. We did one for May as well, didn't we? But yeah, hopefully we're back on it for month by month. These are for the month of July, with it being the first show, I think, since is it the first show of August, James?
No, but I think it's the first show since the end of the games of July.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we're looking at to remind the viewers the manager of the month, the player of the month, and also the goal of the month. So which is taken from the goals of the month award winners of the month. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's only one place to start really with the manager of the month, and this is a relatively easy one at the end of the day, isn't it, George? I mean, for a little while it looked like it might be hard dealing with back-to-back awards, but I think when you're talking about teams who have been doing well in July in the Brasileirão, you can't look past Mirassol, and we spoke about them last month as being in with a shout, Rafael Guananes, and we said if he keeps it up, or in June even, if he keeps it up, he's going to win one. And he has won the manager of the month for July, hasn't he? Rafael Guananes. It's been an absolutely ridiculously good season for Mirassol. They go from strength to strength. Another big win, obviously, against Vasco, which was outside of July. But they're up in 5th in the table at the minute, George. We're having played 16 games. They've played 2 less than the likes of Red Bull Bragantino, Sao Paulo, Corinthians. The 9 points off Cruzeiro with 2 games in hand. I mean, that is an unbelievable place to be in.
It's a mad stretch of games, James. We're unbeaten in 9 games. Like I said, this particular month of July, they played 4 games, unbeaten in all 4. drew 2, won 2, the 2 big wins over the two other of the promoted sides in Santos and Ceará back to back. Obviously followed it up with an early August win at home against Vasco. Guananes is doing a brilliant job. It's a surreal job, really, and the Mirasol fans must be absolutely pinching themselves every single time they play, because they just seem to be brushing these teams aside pretty simply, really. I know against Vasco last time out, they did surrender with a two-goal lead, but they did eventually win the game in the last few minutes at home. So it went down as another win. Any point is a good point here, and this starts to become into sort of dreamland territory, really, for them now. Guanares, he's done his marvellous job. You can't say anything else. I think he's been there for the whole season, hasn't he? And like we said, he was going for one a couple of months ago when we did it. He's definitely won the one this time. It's not the last time. We'll speak about Mirasol as well in this award ceremony, if you like, as well. It's a big test for them this evening against Flamengo. If they can come through that unbeaten, I think you've really got to stand up and say, we've got to take these really seriously for a sort of a, continental competition qualification. Like you said, they're only 1 point off the top 4. It's absolutely amazing, really.
Well, if they can get a result against Flamengo, then you do have to start wondering just how high they can go, really. That's away from home. So it would be amazing if they do pull something out. But the way they go in the form that they're in at the minute, that all the pressure will be on Flamengo to get a result against them. And even a draw will keep them kind of up that kind of upper echelon of the table. So Guanaes, I mean, he's just done a ridiculously good job. He can't get enough praise, really, for what he's doing there. The first ever season in Serie A. And, as we mention every time, there is, of course, an asterisk in that it could start going badly. And, there is we do expect, really, that at some stage the form will turn and they will start to lose games. But that's not necessarily the way that it has to be. It does happen occasionally. Teams come up to top divisions and just nobody knows what to expect from them, and they can't work them out, and they just keep on rolling. The pressure is off them. Whatever happens now, they're going to stay up in the league, and then it's just a case of how high can they go. So he deserves all the praise in the world. An absolute rightful winner of the Manager of the Month. And yeah, we're going to give a Mirasol player the Player of the Month as well, aren't we, George? Which was, we had some debate. We wanted, there was a couple of candidates. Caio Jorge, we have to mention again, because he really has been, he's been the standout player in the whole of Brazil, really, for me this season so far. He's had another really good month as well, but he's just tailed off a little bit at the end, hasn't he? So we just thought, there's a good reason for it as well, that we're going to give it to a Mirasol player as well, aren't we?
Yeah, that's it, James. And the player is the goalkeeper, the old goalkeeper, actually, who I think he's 37 years old, and it's Walter, who came in from Cuiabá, was relegated with Cuiabá last season, played all but 2 of Cuiabá's Brasileirão games last season. Obviously, they did incredibly poorly and ended up getting relegated, but he moved to Mirasol, and he's proven a real steady hand there. 2 clean sheets in the last in those 4 games in July. Only conceded 2 goals, and they were one against Palmeiras and one against Vitória. So I think he pulled out a man of the match performance in one of those games as well. The one against Ceará. He's a big man, and he's a real giant between the goalposts, to be fair. And he's coming up trumps for them, along with their great form. He has also been in great form. Like you said, could have easily gone for Caio Jorge. He did score the most, I think, in the month of July. He got 5 goals, but he did get 3. He did get a hat-trick in one of those games as well. So, I think he has tailed off slightly from what his high standards have been so far this season. And I thought, let's give a little bit of love to the goalkeepers, because I think we generally do forget about the goalkeepers, I think, on talking Brazil ball a little bit. And, he gets it this time. I think he's done marvellous the job. To say how old he is as well, to keep going and keep playing at the highest level that he can do in Brazil is, speaks to the character of himself as well.
I think we also have to give a shout to Chico from Mirasol, who's come in and really just made an instant impact, really. He's only played 5 games. His first game was in July, actually, I think, against Palmeiras. So he's played only 5 games for the club. He scored 4 goals. He arrived from Paraguayan side Cerro Porteño in July. So he's only just kind of joined them, and he's been in ridiculously good form. So he scored in 3 of the 4 games in July. So he's been kind of a real force for them as well.
Yeah, true enough. So he was challenging as well. Like you said, he not quite the main goals, but he has to go down as a real important player. A good signing that from from Mirasol by the look of it. So they really seem to just be hitting the ground running, and it's great to see, to be fair, because we both had them down when we started, this season previewing them, and we had them rock bottom, both of us. So I don't think we gave them a chance, and look at them flying up the table, and it's a big test for them this tonight. I'm interested to see how they do.
Yeah, they'll be bang up for it. And yeah, Chico, he scored in that win against Vasco this week as well. Like we said, they haven't been just doing the business in July. They've also carried that through to August. It was a kind of a topsy-turvy game, that one against Vasco, and Vasco are not in great form themselves. But again, Chico came up trump. So he's one to really keep an eye on, Georgia, in the coming kind of weeks, because he's come out of nowhere, really, and he's in a team who are flying, and he's flying himself. So sometimes everything just comes together for a centre forward, and it looks like that's what's going on for him at the minute. But yeah, Mirasol, the only team really to talk about there. I think Bahia probably deserve a little bit of a mention as well, don't they, George? Rogerio Ceni doing a cracking job over there. But July belongs to Mirasol, and it's only right that we give them the praise.
Absolutely, James. I think it was right to give them this time, the monthly awards, and let's see how far they can go in August as well and beyond. So, yeah, you keep touting they might get a drop off, they might not. Let's wait and see.
Yeah, they might not. They'll prove me wrong. Guanayas will be up for the manager of the month again next time, probably, no doubt. Anyway, George, let's give out the last award then. So the goal of the month. Have you got the special music for that? You need that kind of match of the day.
No, we haven't got that one either, James. Unfortunately, not yet. Anyway, but this one, it goes to last week's winner of the Goal of the Round award, actually, and that is Mr. Facundo Torres, who got the winner for Palmeiras against Grêmio. I don't think there was actually that many contenders. Obviously, we like to put the Goal of the Round awards into the Goal of the Month award, but I think there might have only been 2, to be fair. The other one was Sao Paulo's our mate Luciano Neves. So I don't think there was many to go off, and this was certainly a better goal than that one. So by default, Facundo Torres wins it. We spoke about it last week. It was a lovely little bit of build-up play in the box by Palmeiras, and he finished it off nicely with his left foot. Lovely curling finish into the top corner. So that's the winner of Goal of the Month. Hopefully next month, this month of August, we'll have more to go off, and we definitely will do. Like I said, it only resumed mid-July, didn't it? So, yeah, we'll have more to go off next time.
I'm sure we will. Well, I mean, the one from this week will go in, and that was a good goal as well, wasn't it, Eric? So that'll be a strong contender, probably.
Yes, it will be, I'm sure. So yeah, this will go in for August's Goal of the Month award, the first one of the month. So yeah, we'll wait to see if it's enough for him to win it.
Yep. So well done to Facundo Torres, well done to Volta, and well done to Rafael Guanayas, winners of this month's Talking Brazil Ball monthly awards. Right, George, let's look ahead then. Let's go, like you said, match day 19 is starting very, very soon this evening for us. So why don't you just run through those fixtures, and then we'll have a look and pick the games of the round.
Absolutely, James. It'd be a pleasure of mine. So it starts, like you said, round 19. Tonight, as of recording in England, it is Flamengo against Mirasol at 10:30. Also at 10:30 p.m. is RB Bragantino against Inter, and Sao Paulo play Vitória at the same time. Tomorrow morning in England, Fortaleza host Botafogo, 12:30 midnight. Here against Fluminense at 1 a.m. as well. Then into Sunday evening, Palmeiras against Ceará and Vasco against Galo is 8 p.m. kickoffs. Cruzeiro against Santos is 10:30 kickoff. Into Monday, 12:30 midnight. Gremio hosts Sport Recife. And then Tuesday, James, the match day wraps up. Tuesday, the 12th of August, Juventude against Corinthians is a midnight kickoff.
Fantastic. So what's catching your eye there, George, as a game of the round?
Again, there's not really much to go off, James. None that really get the excitement going. Is that, to be fair, maybe Fortaleza against Fogo. Paiva coming back, big game for Fortaleza. Fogo need to get back on with the league form. There's Cruzeiro Santos, that might be a little bit of a needle as well. But I'm going to go with, just to have a look at it first time here, I'm going to go with Bahia against Fluminense, because I think if Flu win, they go within 3 points of Bahia. Bahia, like we know, with Rogério Ceni, is doing a fantastic job so far, in fourth position, unbeaten now in quite a few games in the league. So yeah, and I don't think we've looked at them so tough so far. So I'm going to go with Bahia against Fluminense.
Yeah, good choice. I think, like you said, Bahia, we've overlooked them a bit, but they have been really impressive recently. And Flu badly needed that win against Gremio last weekend. They were on a terrible run after the Club World Cup, so maybe they'll have the tails up. I think I'm going to go, we've been talking about it there, I think I'm going to look at Flamengo against Mirassol, just because we've built it there. Mirassol, obviously, big test for them. Flamengo as well, it's a big test for them, coming off a poor result really against Ceará. So I think that'll say a lot about Flamengo's title credentials, and also show us really where Mirassol are at this kind of stage. So yeah, I'm going to have a look at that. So that'll be coming up this evening. So we'll soon find out what happens with that. And I guess we'll do the show next week, George. I'm not sure when we'll do it. If you clocked in that our birthday's on the Thursday when we usually record, isn't it? So Pitter's birthday as well. So we might do another Saturday edition or a Friday edition. We'll have to wait and see.
Friday or Saturday, James, I would have said one of the two, and we'll get it sorted. I mean, I suppose even we could do on either before the Thursday, the usual Thursday slot, if you can. I don't know. Whenever, we'll get it done. But yeah, like you said, our birthday does fall next Thursday on the allotted slot. So yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, let's look at the league table, George. Where does all that leave the Brasileirão after match day 18?
So yeah, top of the table is Flamengo on 37. Second is Cruzeiro on 37. Third is Palmeiras on 33. Fourth, Bahia on 29. Fifth is Mirassol on 28. Sixth is RB Bragantino on 27. Seventh is Fogo on 26. 8th, Sao Paulo on 25. 9th is Flu on 23. Also on 23 points is Galo in 10th. 11th is Ceará on 22. 12th is Corinthians, also on 22. On 21 points in 13th place is Inter. Gremio are 14th on 20 points. 15th Santos on 18 points. 16th Vitória on 18 points. 17th and in the relegation zone, James, is Vasco on 15 points. 18th is Fortaleza, also on 15 points. 19th Juventude on 11 points. And propping up the table, as always, is Sport Recife on 6 points, James. Has to be noted, though, they have done a little bit better, and they have drawn 3 in a row, notably with Bahia last time out. So something might be turning up for them recently under Daniel Paulista. Certainly a lot better than has been going over the previous 13 games, but still not good enough, obviously.
Yeah, they've made themselves hard to beat, which is a start, but it isn't going to be enough, as we know, unless something kind of miraculous happens. But yeah, it is better for them, and also against Gremio next time out, not an awful match for them. So maybe they will finally get that win. I mean, maybe they'll go the first team ever not to win again. I don't know that, but surely it hasn't happened before. They have only played 16, so they're a bit behind the other teams in that sense. But Well, I hope they don't become that, but it's not looking good for them anyway, is it, George?
Oh, absolutely not.
Right, well, that wraps up the show for today. Thank you, everybody, for listening. It's been another busy week, busy month, and we'll hopefully bring more action to you at some point whenever we get there next week.
Yeah, absolutely, James. We'll get it sorted, but everybody enjoy it. And adios.
Adios.
We're breaking it down, bringing the passion from every town.